Oh my God, that was so sketch. I had gravel traction control on, so I thought you could just whack the throttle and be fine. You definitely cannot. Is the Suzuki DR-Z4S the best everyday dual sport? Before we can answer that, we gotta look at the competition, because in the dual sport segment, there's a few different classes. You have your lightweights, think Honda CRF 300L, Kawasaki KLX 300. Then you have your competition spec dual sports from KTM, Husqvarna, and Beta. You have your classic air-cooled thumpers, think Honda XR 650L and Suzuki's own DR-650S. But where does the DR-Z fit in? Honestly, nowhere. The DR-Z has always been in a class of its own. Bigger and more capable than the lightweights, but with better road manners than the high-performance bikes. For riders who want a true 50-50 dual sport, the Suzuki DR-Z has always been the choice. I should know, I own one. But after nearly 25 years of being unchanged, one has to wonder, what prompted Suzuki to develop a new DR-Z? Were they losing sales to riders who value current styling, fuel injection, and rider aids? Or is it increasing emission standards that made Suzuki develop a new DR-Z? So we are in A mode, most aggressive throttle response, traction control turned off. And then if you want to turn off ABS, 5 seconds. So that's rear ABS off only. Do it again for another couple seconds. And now we are ABS off front and rear. So no ABS at all. All right. You got a fuel gauge, gear indicator. And yeah, it's nice having a fuel gauge. The previous DR-Z did not. So yeah, it gives you just all the information you need. Switch your ride modes over here and your settings. You just got your kill switch over here. And we're ready for some pavement. So basically this bike is all new. The engine architecture is similar to the old one, but the internals have been fully revised. It now has fuel injection via a 46mm throttle body with a 10-hole injector. And to me, that was the biggest news as a DR-Z owner, because I've cleaned that car too many times. And then another major talking point about this bike, rider aids. Ride-by-wire throttle that gives access to 3 throttle maps, A, B, and C, A being the most aggressive, C being the least aggressive. 3 levels of traction control, 1 and 2 for road. You have a dedicated off-road traction control setting called gravel that's great for gravel roads and just off-road terrain. And then you have ABS, switchable ABS, front and rear. You can turn off ABS on both wheels or leave it active at only the front wheel, or of course leave it active at both wheels. Decent little wheelie bike, dang. 3rd gear wheelies, no problem. Not that I'm that surprised, because the DR-Z4S was always a great wheelie bike. And that's what makes really a 50-50 dual sport, but especially the DR-Z4S, such a just great all-around motorcycle. They're great for riding through the city, commuting, of course exploring fire roads, single track, off-road riding. But then, like we're about to get into, some twisty pavement. The first 2 things I wondered was, does it have fuel injection, and does it have a 6-speed transmission? Because if you go and look at a DR-Z forum or just scroll through the internet about DRZs, you'll find that those are 2 things people always kind of talk about. And the fuel injection is awesome. It's about time. Everyone loves fuel injection, or most people, especially on a dual sport like this. We've done some kind of pavement stuff where we've been, you know, upward of 60 miles per hour. And we're in 4th gear, and it'll do it, you know, just like the previous DR-Z. You know, you can totally ride the highway and freeway speed 70 plus, but yeah, it definitely is a bit revved out and brings a little bit of vibration when you're up to 70 miles per hour on the highway. Would a 6th gear be nice? Yeah, of course. Is it a deal breaker? Not at all. Got a good engine. I mean, just so far, this has a lot better response and just a peppier engine than the other bikes like the 300L and KLX 300. And that's the thing about the DR-Z. It's always kind of been in a class of its own, because bigger engine, it's really always been the bike that has good road manners, like something like a 300L, KLX 300, but then has more performance. So still in B mode with gravel traction control, ABS turned off. But yeah, B mode really gives it just that rideability down low, especially with these tires, and combined with the gravel mode, it's working really nice. Okay, maybe like in that, kind of get the front to lift up. We'll see. I think maybe B mode and gravel can make it a little harder. We'll try that again maybe. This is the kind of stuff, I mean, on a bike with these kinds of this is the kind of stuff with these tires. It's always going to be a little bit more challenging. But the gravel and B mode, kind of a little bit of a cheat code. Yeah, I actually am really starting to enjoy B mode for its tractability. Because that was something the DR-Z4S really had that was nice. And I noticed yesterday, spending a lot of time in A mode, it didn't have the same tractability at low RPM, that chuggability, that because it's just a little bit more quick revving, sharper throttle response. And with these tires, it seems to just light the rear up a little bit too easily. Where this B mode is, it's great for low traction situations. All right, we're now in C mode with traction control turned off. The throttle maps A, B, and C, they all make the same peak horsepower, but it's just how it builds power. A being the most aggressive, having the most throttle response, B kind of being that middle ground, and C is definitely diluted, especially off the crack of a throttle, which I think a lot of people will appreciate. A newer rider, riding in the rain, low traction conditions off-road, especially with the stock tires not being super aggressive knobbies, but you still can wind the thing up and get moving pretty good. So let's see, we're in 4th gear, let's drop to 3rd, going 28. I mean, that's C mode, that's still pretty good power right there, wow. And I think that's, you know, the world of motorcycling is people really appreciate ride modes, you know, for the type of terrain you're riding or your skill level. It has really good actuation at the throttle. First year of the DR-Z with ride-by-wire, and they nailed it. Super just snappy, direct throttle response, really good rear wheel. Like the throttle to rear wheel connection is very good. All right, so this is some pretty chunky gravel that we're on right now. This is where you know, people might find gravel mode pretty useful. So you have 3 levels of traction control plus off. So you have, I believe 2 is the most intrusive, 1 less intrusive, and those are really kind of your dedicated street traction control modes, although you can use them in the dirt if you'd like. And then you have gravel, which is your, you know, real designated off-road traction control setting. Will allow some wheel slip. I definitely noticed you can, with these street tires, it definitely allows you to feel confident getting the rear tire to step out and kind of slide a corner with still having that safety net of, you know, not letting the wheel spin up too quickly and really, you know, get away from you. And so, yeah, I think it's very useful and does its job. Woo, we're in gravel mode right now. Makes it so nice for sliding on these gravel roads, because you can still step it out pretty good, and but you still have that safety net if you really are getting out of shape. The way the system works is it goes off of ECU and wheel speed sensors combined with throttle position, RPM, and gear selection as well. So we're in 3rd gear. Woo! I can feel it as it kind of reached its deep, like furthest point of stepping out. It felt like you got a little bit of, like it kind of cut power and helped bring it back because it stepped out pretty good. I really like gravel mode. I'm impressed. Not gonna lie, when I first saw it, I thought, I'm not gonna need that. But I've been really enjoying it. Not only on these gravel roads, but also on that kind of single tracky stuff we were doing. I really enjoyed it both in A power mode and B power mode. So 2nd gear. Yeah, that was good because that was that it still stepped out. Nice for flat tracking, baby. Woo, that was 2nd gear. It worked so well all the way up to the rev limiter. All right, so we're doing this hill climb. We're gonna do it twice. We're doing it right now. Traction control turned off. That was pretty good. Even with this tire, we kind of managed the traction, still have pretty good drive. Now we're gonna do it again, but in G mode, gravel mode. Most aggressive throttle map with G traction control. So let's see. Not bad, I feel it definitely. I definitely feel it cutting in. I think I would be better off without it.
And that's what I noticed today, is just the performance of this bike from the last one, and especially if you own a 300L or a KLX 300, this bike is definitely a better off-road motorcycle and a better on-road motorcycle. The engine is super punchy. I was surprised coming off the old DR-Z, just the initial throttle response, you have such good torque off bottom, and it pulls really nice all the way to the rev range. That was something they worked on with the new engine, is having the torque come on a little bit lower and have a little bit more over rev. And that's what's great about this bike. Going on the fire roads, sliding corners, even on the pavement, you can hold off a gear, like really stretch the legs to the next corner and hold off a shift. It's just a really flexible engine. They updated the suspension as well. You now have an inverted 46mm KYB fork, fully adjustable, 11 inches of travel, fully adjustable KYB shock with 11.6 inches of travel, all new steel frame, twin spar, aluminum subframe, aluminum swing arm.
Honestly, the suspension might be even a little stiff for me. Might have to open up the compression a little bit. For what I kind of like softer suspension. Has good hold up, and of course these components are new, so they'll break in over time, you know, after a handful of hours on it. To be honest, I feel like I have to check the preload. The bike feels a little bit stink bug right now. Kind of feels like a lot of weight up on the front, especially on a downhill and when applying the front brake. The suspension's so playful, and it just turns so easily. You just lean it over, weight the foot pegs. Like this bike in this terrain is just perfect. The suspension's perfect. Holy cow, it's like absorbs it. You get like a little bit of bump, like bounce, like it's not bottoming out. You just get like this, just like you're on a trampoline, like what do they call it? Like the pre-bounce, like you're just like woo. It makes it perfect for jumping from one side of the trail to the other. That's just and you don't have to ride this bike hard, but you can. But if you don't want to, it still works. Where the high performance aggressive dual sports, it's just their suspension stiff, chassis stiff. If you don't ride it hard, it kind of is not very enjoyable. Where this thing, regardless of the pace, it works really well.
It's a really good balance of comfort and performance. On the fire roads and some of the bumpy 2-track we had, it has enough hold up to, you know, kind of charge some bumps and be aggressive, but then it's super comfortable if you're just cruising through town or you're in some real kind of technical rocky stuff. It's supple and absorbs the bumps really well. And the chassis is very agile as well. It's very quick to steer. The wheelbase is slightly longer than the other model. It's just a very direct feeling motorcycle, very direct steering.
We made the summit. Now it's time to hang out. Probably can't see it on GoPro, but right over there, Mount Hood in Oregon. There's another mountain over there, I believe called Mount Adams. We're on this really cool rocky mountain. Now we're gonna descend. Test out the braking performance of the DR-Z4S before we get on some pavement. Maybe pop a couple wheelies, cut a couple skids. Have a good time on a DR-Z.
The rear brake master cylinder is pulled off of their RMZ motocross bike. Just goes to show that Suzuki values this bike in the enduro space. They really want something that is gonna have off-road capabilities.
And I really like not only just how sharp the rear brake is, but also just the feel, especially with these kinds of tires and loose terrain. You're able to, you know, actuate the rear brake and get good stopping power out of it without just locking it up. It's not so touchy. It's got a good progressiveness, but then you get deep into the stroke and you can easily lock up the rear. And same can be said for the front. Again, with these tires, you can't ask for too much on loose terrain. It has a very good braking performance, good feel at the lever, and with that suspension being supple but having enough hold up, it allows you to load the front and just get a good contact patch on the front tire just to help you brake a little bit, get a little bit more braking performance out of the front. All right, so we're still in gravel mode with ABS on. See what that's like. So you definitely notice the ABS kick on when you get on the rear brake pretty good, and the ABS on the front. You can kind of drag the front, but if you kind of really try to get the actually I didn't really notice it there. I feel like you can kind of drag the front, but if you really are trying to kind of get maximum braking potential, like right there, I kind of gave a good lever squeeze. I could feel it. Kind of feel the pressure, the back pressure, but it's once you get towards like halfway, when you're really ramping it up and really trying to get everything out of it, like right there, I could feel it. I think the ABS is it works pretty good off-road. I think for someone that still is developing their braking techniques in the dirt, you'll find it very beneficial, because if you kind of get into that panic situation where you grab a handful, whether it's front or rear, it won't let you just lock up and wash the front or have the rear kick out. But I think for someone with more off-road experience, you're gonna find that it actually becomes limiting, a little bit intrusive. Traction's really good on this section. It's not all rocky. Now I see those are the sections where having ABS off for more experienced rider is really crucial, because I jumped that maybe a little deep into the corner, but was able to land on the rear brake locked up with the front brake pretty heavily applied to kind of maximum braking without washing the front. Where if the ABS was on, I bet I would have not made that corner and I'd be stuck in a tree at the bottom of the hill.
The weight has increased over the other bike. It claimed 333 pounds, about 17 pounds heavier than the previous model, but you don't feel that out on the road. The combination of the suspension, the playful engine, the solid braking package, and of course, you have rider aids. It's a bike you just click it into gear and go.
Another thing Suzuki addressed when developing the new DR-Z4S is they opened up the rider triangle a little bit compared to the previous model. The handlebar, you now have this aluminum taper handlebar that's is a little bit higher than the 400S. The foot pegs are a little bit farther back. Seat height is slightly reduced, but that's mostly because of it has a different rear tire size. Standing up, I think the bars still feel a little bit low for my liking, but you know, that could be easily addressed with just a riser or aftermarket handlebar. And then sitting down feels really good. It has just, you know, it doesn't feel quite full size like something in the high performance category. It just feels a little bit more bite-sized and manageable than a KTM 500 or CRF 450 RL. So yeah, this bike retails for $8,999, $9 grand. And I know a lot of people thought, hey, that's pretty expensive. I mean, a 300L is, you know, a little over $5. A KLX 300, more in that $6 range, you know? But one thing I noticed going back looking at our Cycle World test from the 2002 DR-Z was that bike was like retailed for like $5,500 back in 2002. And if you compare that to today's dollars, that's a little over $9 grand. So really, I don't think, and the last DR-Z, you know, 2024 400S is gonna cost you over $7 grand. So I think, you know, the price is on point. You know, it's really in that same ballpark.
The original DR-Z stood the test of time, and so will this one. Because even in 25 years from now, what are we gonna ask of our dual sports? We're gonna want good suspension, a playful engine, comfortable ergonomics, and a little bit of tech sneaked in there. And that's why I think this is the best everyday dual sport for you riders that are just gonna explore everything. Conquer the mountain, carve up a twisty paved road, ride to work. This thing checks all the boxes. And that's what makes the all-new 2025 Suzuki DR-Z4S the best all-around dual sport. And it's probably worth selling your old one for the new one.